Welcome to another episode of Misfit Social Podcast. It is a lovely day to be in the studio. How you doing this morning, Paul?
Dallas, Texas, man. I'm close to home, so not too far away.
Easy for you, yeah?
It was.
Well, what about you, Roy?
I'm doing well, man. Just happy to be here.
How's your joy state?
It's slightly elevated.
Yeah, I can see the corners of your mouth. You're smiling just a little bit.
I'm happy about our guests.
So
happy about our conversation today.
So that's raising my joy level.
Yeah.
We have
Which
a problem
raises my
with
joy
he
now.
has a low joy state is what we It's not true, but it's fun to talk about.
Well, joy is you delight to be with a certain people, and so this is what I have to deal with. So my joy struggles a lot.
Yeah, his joy immediately starts coming down as soon as we start recording. So the question before us today is, did you ever get in a fight on the playground?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Oh, we fought every day.
Every
son. I was
day.
raised in Texas.
What's one that stands out? Like what's...
Oh, my goodness.
I got to tell one while you're thinking.
Yeah.
He's
The
going to interrupt.
I'm gonna
the grand
interrupt. It's
interrupter.
my
Grand
job.
interrupter.
The grand
I knew
interrupter.
You had to think anyway.
Well, I was
You have
just,
one right up
I was
there?
just sorting through all the fights. No, but go ahead.
I got to
ahead.
tell one on Preston.
Tell it while he's
It's
going
better
through
than
his
any
Matter
roll.
of
of
fact,
my
there's about to
stories.
be one right now. So I'm about to have two jiu-jitsu
Ain't no
coaches.
place. Hey, talk about fighting.
I know they're going to coach me.
your
Don't
butt.
get ahead. Stay on the script. Let's go.
All right.
Tell us your
So
story.
no, this is about Preston. All right. So he was a chubby kid. He never was small. He came out of the womb a man. You know, he's got
He
those,
had a beard
yeah.
the day he was born.
He's a big kid. So he was playing on the playground, kindergarten, and up on the monkey bars, you know, back when they had those. And he told my wife, he said, some kids were making fun of him because he was fat, you know. And he said he saw him, and he said, well, what'd you do, Preston? He said, I jumped down and I went. I said, well, what did they do? He said, they taked off.
Taked off.
They taked off.
Funny fight I was on the losing end of was with my who became my best friend ever. Like, we were young. I might have been second grade, Gary Anderson. And I mean, he would fight a fence post if it looked at him wrong. Like, he don't matter. Like, he was just a fighter. And he was real protective of his younger brother. And I was getting up a little early from our bus stop, and they slammed on the brakes for some reason. And so I just got to going down. I hit the back of his brother because I couldn't even control myself with the momentum of the bus. So I knocked his brother down. Next thing I know, I got punched in the mouth. I'm holding my lip. I'm like, my God. He goes, you don't knock my brother down. I said, Gary, why are you punching me? We were best friends after that. So I was on the losing end of that one, but I didn't punch back either.
So one of my losing end ones, it wasn't actually on the playground, but I took karate, and I was probably in the third grade, made it to the semifinals, and I was up against a girl. And being the male chauvinist that I was as a young man, I thought I had this in the bag.
Wait, you got over that? Okay, anyway.
Yeah,
go
well,
ahead.
I'm still working on it. It was not to be. She beat me because that's just points of contact, right? If you're above the belt, on the body, in the head. Her last point was head kick. Yeah. So
Yes.
I left.
Is there video?
I'm
Yes.
sure my mother has video. There's definitely still photos
I need to
floating
see
around
that.
because I've seen the photos. I still do have the third place trophy.
Third.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to see your bell getting rung.
yeah.
That would be beautiful.
She rung it really good. But speaking of ladies who can kick ass,
Yes.
it's very good to have our special guest on today.
Yay.
Anna, Carlina, and Luanna. Ladies, good to have you on today.
Welcome.
Hey
Hi.
guys, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. We're very happy to be here with you. I feel honored, really. Thank you.
And you're coming to us live from Brazil, yeah?
Yes, we're Brazilians, but we live in South Florida, Boynton Beach.
Okay, so you're in Florida right now.
Yes, we're in Florida.
All right. Well, it is very good to have you on. Our dear friend Adam, who directs this podcast and helps us pull it all off. I know he's worked very closely with you all on a project that's very close to you. I've been lucky enough to see some of the behind the scenes clips, and everything that I've seen looks excellent. It's a great story, and I can't wait to see that project finished.
Thank you, Cliff. Yes, we met Adam last year, and actually 2 years ago. We're now in 2025. It was mid of 2023, and we had the chance to, meet him in person. We spent a few time together during this project. He's an amazing guy, and we feel very blessed, that he found us and he saw something, and to film this project, and he's an amazing guy.
Well, from what I've heard, you all are two amazing ladies and have an incredible story. So why don't we take a little bit of time and let's just get to know each other. Tell us what's your background. We know you're two world champions, and you're super talented in the jiu-jitsu world. Give us a little bit of who you are.
Oh, so I started doing jiu-jitsu when I was a kid. I was 9 years old. So I could be that girl beating you up in the playground.
Yes. I want to see that.
He's much older. It wasn't you.
And, actually this happened with me once. I had a fight with a boy in the playground because I was trying to play soccer, using the place, and the guys didn't want the girls playing soccer with them.
Oh.
So I had to fight for my space since when I was young. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I started jiu-jitsu when I was 9, and I did this my whole life, When I was a teenager, I decided to do this as a career. So even though I did college in something else, for some reason I was always in the tournaments, always want to be a champion, want to be a world champion. And I dedicated my whole life for this. So after a few years, I was able to get my black belt. I was living in Brazil at that time, and I participated from many tournaments. I was able to become 5 times world champion, ADCC champion. And then I felt that I want to do something else, something different in my life. That's when I moved to Abu Dhabi. I was living in Abu Dhabi for 3 years, just teaching. And then I decided that I need to move again. I wasn't happy. I was feeling that I had something else inside me, something else that I need to leave before staying in a country that I was just working, not competing anymore. So I decided to come to United States and try MMA. And that's what I did. I came to Florida to train at ATT. I did one MMA fight, but I felt that wasn't for me, In the same time, Carol and I, we were together, and she's a few years younger than I, like many years, 8 years.
8 years.
And
Not
she
that
was on her
much.
peak, So like when I was in that phase that I didn't want to do MMA anymore, but I was trying to find out, Carol, she came to Florida as well, and we decided to open a school. So since that, I have been helping her. I'm her coach. I have been helping her in her tournaments, and we opened our school, Aviv Jiu-Jitsu, and now we dedicate our whole life
To Aviv,
To
to a women's
Aviv.
retreat.
to the projects that we have here in Florida.
That's awesome. Now you just kind of flew right past the fact that you were a 5-time world champion. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, 5 times world champion. I'm also Hall of Fame. So I was able to win all the big tournaments that we have in the sport.
All the championships and all the divisions too. So there's an open class in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which you can compete in your division. She was a lightweight and middleweight. And she also won the open class in all the tournaments, all the divisions together.
That you fight against, same belt, but all the weights together. So I was able to win all the tournaments in both divisions, in my weight division, in the open class as well. So I can say that my career was really successful. I was able to achieve all the dreams that I had, win all the tournaments, and that's it. Now all I want to do is share what I know, all the experience that I have. So I feel really confident to be helping Carol. She's also a 5 times world champion, ADCC champion. She has all the titles as well. And that's it.
So MMA, how different are the skills in MMA versus jiu-jitsu? Why didn't you like it?
Oh, I didn't like the community in MMA. I feel the community in Jiu-Jitsu, it's like they always bring these families, probably because the Grace family makes Jiu-Jitsu really popular. So all these schools, we see ourselves as families. And MMA, they are super professional. So they don't care, they want to use you to help them as much as possible. They want to use your body, your knowledge, but it's really
Just about you. It's not like as
exactly.
a teamwork, you
So
know.
for me, it was hard, feel this transition. Because when I went to American Top Team, I was with this Brazilian Jiu Jitsu mentality. So I was helping everybody, dedicating my time, my knowledge, my energy, to help people to get ready for the fights. And when I realized that nobody was doing the same for me, I felt by myself, I felt it's not the way. As I said, I do jiu-jitsu since I was 9. So it was more than 20 years doing everything in one way. And when you get in another place that, you find yourself by yourself, like when I did my MMA fight, I didn't have anyone going with me. So I felt, was weird. I felt by myself. So in the same time, Carol was coming to Florida. She just moved to Florida. And I can tell what was the momentum that I could pick, either keep in the MMA or open my school. And I felt it's me, it's who I am. Help the others, help, in this case, help Carol to become a champion, be in a place that everybody will help each other to grow instead of just think about yourself. And I understand it's about money, in the end of the day, you need to make the money. But I didn't feel comfortable being around those people.
So MMA, how jiu-jitsu obviously translates to MMA. What skills did you find yourself having to kind of catch up to be competitive in MMA versus jiu-jitsu?
So, I mean, if I think about the sport MMA, we always say that you got to be good in 3 different skills. You got to be good in the striking, takedowns, and the ground part. So the ground was fine for me, but all the rest I need to train a lot. So I did boxing for over 2 years, almost every day, a lot of wrestling. And even this, when you need to train something that it's not natural for you. And it's not that I started MMA super young, because if you are young and you start, it will become natural. But once I am already 5 times world champion and my body knows how to do things in one way, it's really hard for you to reset your body and your mind and learn how to do everything in another way. But it was good. It was good because I was looking for something new. I was looking for something that would challenge myself. So it was really important for me to pass through this process, to be a white belt again,
To be a white belt.
and need to learn a sport since the beginning, which was the boxing, and also learn how to deal with people in another way, learn how to be more professional in my sport instead of do just the way that I used to do, just because I want to be a champion, The mindset's another way one. You need to make money, and there's a lot of people around you that is waiting for your to success to make money as well. So I had to reset my mind in many different ways.
Luana, is when it comes to jiu-jitsu, is the Gracie family, are they kind of like the founders of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or does it go beyond them? Because that's a name that we hear in America a lot as far as some of the origins. Curious about that.
So Grace family, they didn't develop jiu-jitsu, but they make jiu-jitsu be really popular in Brazil and then in here in United States, you know. So back in the day, like when a Japanese guys, because jiu-jitsu used to be a martial art that people in Japan used to do, you know, the military guys, they used to do jiu-jitsu. And then one of those guys, he traveled to Brazil and he starts to share this with some people, and Grace family was inside this, you know.
Okay.
And once the Grace family start to learn jiu-jitsu, in order to make this become popular, they start to challenge other fighters from other schools. So let's say
Other modalities too, right?
they have a taekwondo school, and then in the middle of the session, you know, a jiu-jitsu guy, probably from Grace family, used to come inside your school and say, who is the master here? Who is the black belt? And then like, I'm the master. So I challenge you in front of your students. Let's say who will give up first. And then jiu-jitsu, you know, because jiu-jitsu, we don't strike.
Right.
We always close the distance, put in the ground, was something new, and people didn't know how to deal with this. So jiu-jitsu started to become really popular, and then they start to do super fights. Jiu-jitsu against capoeira, jiu-jitsu against judo, you know, and this makes jiu-jitsu become really popular. That's also how MMA starts. You know, was mixed martial arts. Back in the day, we used to call vale tudo, means that you are allowed to do everything. You know, and the idea in the MMA in the beginning was to see the jiu-jitsu guy against the taekwondo guy, or the capoeira guy fighting against a judo guy, you know.
Yeah.
But later they figured out that it's impossible for you to do this kind of fight if you don't get ready in different skills, if you don't get different skills. So
Right.
that's why the fighters, they start to, even though you are a jiu-jitsu fighter, you start to develop your striking, your takedowns, you know. And now if you see the MMA fighters, they know how to do everything. They need to know the striking, they need to know the grappling, they need to know the takedowns. You need to train everything to be ready for one of these fights.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in the early days of MMA, this is back when, before even CDs were out, on VHS, and the first UFCs. I mean, basically the only rules were you can't bite. I mean, outside of that, it was like you said,
Everything is
everything
With
goes.
no
I
gloves?
mean, yeah, no gloves, just bare fist. I mean, it was brutal.
brutal.
So a lot has definitely changed since then, for sure. So we've got 2 5-time world champions on. Let's hear from, I believe your nickname, if we can call you that, might be, is it Baby?
Yes.
Okay.
It's baby, and it's not because I'm the youngest sister. Everybody thinks it's because I'm the youngest one, but there is this TV show in Brazil. It was very popular. It was the dinosaurs,
Okay.
right? There is the dinosaur baby, and my dad put this nickname on me because he used to say that when I was little, every time he tried to hold me, I used to call for my mom. And I used to hate this nickname so much. I used to beg him to not call me like that in front of my friends. And when I was 13, 14 years old and I went to Jiu-Jitsu for the first time, my brother started calling me in the middle of the session. I was like, why are you calling me like that? It's like, oh, I forgot. And one of my friends heard, oh, baby, baby. And it became like my
It just stuck.
nickname. Sometimes I walk in tournaments, people come, baby, can I take a picture? I'm like, yeah, sure. Sometimes they'd ask me, what's your name? I don't even know your name. I was like, are you serious? You don't know my name? Baby, yes.
That's a great story. That's a great story. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your history in martial arts or jiu-jitsu and how you became a 5-time world champion.
So I started my journey in jiu-jitsu when I was young because of my brother. I always liked martial arts because my brother and my dad, they used to watch a lot of Pride. It was the MMA event in Japan. And I remember I used to watch with my brother and my dad, and my brother used to teach me a few moves, you know. And when I was about to turn 15 years old, I was a little bit overweight. And he was trying to put me in jiu-jitsu, you know. I was a little bit lazy. He was like, you gotta do jiu-jitsu. You're gonna get in shape, you can become a champion. I was like, I don't wanna do that. I was always very shy and low self-esteem. So I felt very intimidated by going to a place that was just boys, you know, basically. There was one teammate, a female teammate, but I didn't feel much of connection with jiu-jitsu. I like to do with my brother at home, but I used to feel very uncomfortable on the mat. So until my 17 years old, I was going back and forth with jiu-jitsu. And then one day I was watching him competing in Campo Grande where we used to live. And I saw my whole family and our friends cheering for my brother, and I was like, what is it, you know? Like, what is it to be a champion? What must be the feeling? And I decided to compete. That's how I decided to compete. And then my brother goes, what do you mean compete? You don't even train. I was like, no, but I want to do this. And since my first competition in 2011, I just kept going. I fell in love with the feeling of winning. And I was like, I can be really good at this. And I got my black belt in 2016. I won the world championship in all the belts, blue, purple, brown. And I got my black belt and I won five years in a row in the IBJJF, which is the International Brazilian Federation.
That is unbelievable.
Where are all those tournaments? Are they just like all over the world, or?
So the World Championship used to be in Brazil back in the 90s, right?
Till 2006 was in Brazil, and since 2007 is in California.
Yeah, so that's where I competed all the years since my blue belt. Been competing there since 2012. 2023 was my last year competing.
So when you're competing like that, does that put you on the road all the time? I mean, is that your life? Like to go to all those tournaments, to prepare like that, or are you at home and then you just go for these tournaments here and there?
So when I decided to be an athlete, I knew I needed to dedicate myself, you know. When I was young, I didn't have money to keep going to tournaments because jiu-jitsu is an expensive sport. You got to pay for all your expenses, you know, plus registration. So I had to pick which tournaments I would go. So in Brazil, I competed just a few tournaments and I used to save money, sell gis, you know, I was sponsored by this brand since I was a blue belt. I used to sell gis, do raffles to go to the Worlds in California. And the Abu Dhabi started giving some prize money for females too. So I used to get this money, save, and go to the World Championship. So yeah, we competed more in Brazil, right? You competed
Yeah, I had the chance
lots
to
and
compete a lot
lots
in
of
Brazil.
tournaments.
Are the tournaments like multi-day? How long does it take to do a tournament like that?
Usually for black belts, it's 2 days. You gotta fight the first day to get to the finals, and then in the next day you do just the finals. Or if you're gonna do the open class as well, probably you're gonna fight in the first day the first fights from your division and from the open class, and in the second day you do the finals and semifinals.
So in 2 days of that, how many matches would you have?
Oh,
Depends.
depends the tournament. The one that I did most was 7 fights.
Oh my God.
7 fights in one
Wow.
day.
In one day.
One day.
One.
Uh,
Holy.
Each
Now
fight
they
goes
adjust their
around 10
brackets,
minutes.
right? Now they the way they do the brackets is different, so it make it a little bit easier sometimes.
Uh,
But
but if you want to
yeah,
fight if you want to compete in both divisions,
yeah,
the open
then
class and
there's a
also
lot of
your weight
matches.
division, then you need to do a lot of fights.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say that you slept well that night.
Burnt some
Yes.
calories too.
Well, I had
Next
to
day.
take some painkillers first.
Yeah, how many
When you wake up
calories?
next day, it feels like you're being hit by a truck.
Yeah, you're sore all over. What kind of calories would you burn in a day like that? That's pretty intense. You would
I have no
Hard to
idea.
say.
It's a lot because each fight for a black belt, each fight is about if you don't get to the submission, it's 10 minutes round.
Oh,
wow.
golly.
That's intense.
10, a full 10 minutes. No break.
10
Yeah.
minutes.
And some
Without a break.
tournaments, yeah, but like ADCC, for example,
And
you can fight up to
ADCC.
30 minutes in one match.
And there's so much concentration as well. You have the physical, but the mind is also at work too, employing your strategy. You know, it's an intense 10 minutes if you don't get a submission.
Intense 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's some matches that are tough
I have
to
a
hold your
question.
opponent for 10 minutes.
Yes. I have a question because I've heard of a lot of the practitioners of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu talk about, well, there's the brotherhood, which I want to get to that maybe in a minute, but one thing is the self-confidence. What would you say, like, when you began to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, how would you describe the confidence it gave you? You know, it's like neither one of you are the kind of people somebody wants to accidentally pick on, you know? That's just not, you know, you're not the person somebody wants to mess with in the parking lot. It's just going to end really, really bad. So how has Brazilian Jiu Jitsu given you confidence? Tell us about that.
Go for it?
Man, I can tell from my own experience, I was very, very insecure when I was a teenager. You know, when I actually started training jiu-jitsu and I started committed, I just felt so empowered, you know. I was like, oh, I know how to do things, you know. I know how to do all these moves. I know how to get someone in an arm bar, and it's something that naturally builds up your confidence. So I used to train with a lot of male partners, you know, sometimes heavier than me. So as a female, I was like, oh my God, I could never think that I was able to do that, you know. And it definitely helped me a lot. And I feel that if it wasn't jiu-jitsu, I'm not sure if I could find anything else to bring me that confidence. I don't know,
So
just
for me, there's a few points that Jiu-Jitsu helps you with your confidence. The first one, it's because you learn how to use and to love your body. You know, so let's say I always use this example. Let's say if a person is too tall, usually this person wanna curve themselves, you know, to don't look like tall because everybody will make fun, and you don't wanna, you know, be different of the others. You wanna be the same height, so you are gonna
shrink, like be
exactly, you're
small.
gonna put yourself smaller, you know, to fit this paper. And with Jiu-Jitsu, you start to learn that everything on your body is powerful the way that it is. So if you have long legs, amazing. You're gonna be able to play spider guard that are gonna be really hard for the others. If you are skinny, amazing. You're gonna be able to fit yourself in small places, you know, and you're gonna be really hard to submit you. If you are strong, amazing. You're gonna be able to control the other person. So you start to use your body in a way that you feel empowered. And another point is you learn how to so let's say in jiu-jitsu many times you're gonna find yourself in terrible positions, you know, someone on top of you, you are out of gas, you're almost panic. So you learn how to deal with these emotions, you learn how to deal, you know, with all this mess that is happening inside your mind, and you know that you're going to be able to escape if you wait for the right time and if you trust yourself, but you cannot give up. So I feel that every day you are training yourself to believe on yourself.
Wonderful.
And these change who you are.
You know, it sounds like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is really just training you to live life. We're always struggling
we
with
talk
something.
about this
We
with our
talk about
students. You know, every time you need to face a challenge situation, you just gotta be conscious about what you're doing. You know, we always talk that jiu-jitsu is like a meditation. You know, you gotta be so present. You cannot be thinking about a bunch of stuff because your teammate is trying to kill you. They're trying to choke you. You know, they're trying to take your back. So you gotta be present. You gotta learn how to control your emotions, to not make mistakes, you know, don't make bad decisions. And that actually help in real life scenarios, you know,
Excellent.
builds up your resilience.
So I have an interesting question, I think. So Luanna, you are baby's coach, right?
Yeah.
But you all are also together, right, as a couple. So
Yes.
As
So-
business partners as well.
and business partners. So I'm sure there's never any conflict in any of those situations.
Oh my
was tough in the
goodness.
beginning, learn how to deal with all these relationships wasn't easy.
Tough, tough, tough.
I mean, like a lot of therapy, couples therapy, and a lot of agreements, because it used to be hard. Because let's say I used to fight with my wife, and then I need to deal with her in the business, and nobody can
And
can
on the
realize.
mat as an athlete. Sometimes I was mad, let's say if we have an argument and I go on the mat and she's as my coach tell me to do something like, I don't want to do that. I'm telling you to do. I'm your coach now. And I'm like, I don't want to do. So it was difficult to like separate, put every relationship in a box and keep it there. But I think we're doing a good job of being together for almost 8 years and working as business partners 5 years, and yeah, it's not easy. We talk a lot. Therapy helps a lot, right? To understand because it's difficult. We spend literally 24 hours together. It's the two of us working at the school, working on our projects, so women's seminar, women's retreat. Now we're working on a self-defense project that we're, getting everything together. So everything related to the business is with her. Everything related to my career is with her. And sometimes it was difficult to find some time for us as a couple. We sometimes we were fighting for things about Aviv, midnight talking about the school, at home. I'm like, what are we doing?
So
We gotta
when you're solving arguments, and you have a disagreement, so whoever's right is whoever can get the other in a submission, right? Is that how?
Don't say that, because now she's on her peak and I don't fight anymore.
So if you go to the
I'm gonna be in
mat,
trouble.
if you go to the mat, if the argument ends on the mat, who's going to win?
Oh, she wins.
I would
Maybe.
let her win. I would let her win. I would never have a lot of respect for her as a coach, as a black belt. She's still higher ranked than me, so she will always
It's
win
good
on the
that I have
mat.
more degrees on my black belt, so she needs to respect me on the mat.
She will always win on the mat,
I
no
love
matter
it.
what.
Well, tell us, I mean, you all have traveled the world. You've been to the Middle East, in Brazil, the U.S., probably various other countries. I've experienced a lot. I'm sure you've probably experienced some injuries. What is something that you would say culturally, whether it's around jiu-jitsu or just culture in general, that you found difficult, that you had to push back on, that made you feel like a misfit, made you have to stand out, stand up, and fight for yourself a little bit?
Oh, the time that I was living in Abu Dhabi, I had a few moments that was hard for me. Probably Probably because even when I was a kid, the way that I was at my house, so my mom and my dad, they divorced when I was 3 years old, and my mom she always worked, she always provide everything in the house for us. So I have this inside me. I want to be the person that works, that does everything. I don't want to be behind anyone, especially behind a man. So when I moved to Abu Dhabi, and many times I saw, this discrepancy between women and men was hard for me. So I had a lot of fights in Abu Dhabi, because I wanna do things the way that I believe that was the right way to do. I didn't want to stay behind anyone. I want to do the best of my job. I want to do my best in everything that I was doing. So many times I felt a hard time to be there and be who I am in the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
And at that time when you were in Abu Dhabi, I mean, they're fairly modernized today. Was there any kind of restrictions on you as a female at that time living in Abu Dhabi?
Not on me, but the whole situation. So let's say in a lot of places, they don't allow women to train with guys. And for me, this was, I mean, like I trained with guys since I was 9 years old. And now with 30 years old, you are telling that I cannot train with guys?
But this was for the Arabics, right? But like the
Yes, but a few
Brazilians,
places, I mean,
yes,
you are allowed, as a woman, you are allowed to train with guys if you are not
Arabic.
Arab. But a few places they do not allow to train together. So let's say I used to have my teammates from Brazil as well training in a place, and I used to ask to go there and train as well. And sometimes they used to say, like the owner of this place, they do not allow women to come. And I was like, how
Right.
dare,
Yeah,
like I
right.
wanna come here, I wanna train, I wanna beat his ass.
Yeah.
So was hard. Many times was hard for me to deal with the situation.
Yeah. What about you, baby?
Ay, there's so many situations in jiu-jitsu. It's hard. I feel that for me, my whole career, I feel that I was diminished by others. Every time I was compared to my brother. So my brother, he's also a 5 times world champion. He's Hall of Fame, and I admire him a lot. But sometimes I used to feel it's hard for me to find my own place in jiu-jitsu. And that used to make me fight a lot. Even now in the last tournament that I competed, I was like, why do you guys do that? They put, oh, Rodolfo Vieira's little sister win the grappling tournament. I'm like, I have a name. Why
Right.
do you do that? You don't do that if it was a boy siblings,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel that I'm always trying to find my space.
How does that fuel?
Tough to
How does that fuel the fire in you? Because I can see it while you're talking. How does that fuel
It's
you?
hard because I know it's just because I'm a woman, so it bothers me that until now I'm 31, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for more than 15 years and I built my whole career. I'm a black belt. I have my own team. I have my own school, my own projects, and don't be recognized, as the athlete that I became. It's tough. So I feel that I still need to fight for that, for you guys to put my name on. I know that I'm one of the most decorated athletes in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So use my name. Come on.
Yes.
You wouldn't do that. You didn't say Ana Carolina's brother
Right. Yeah. Right. When they
He's
introduced him.
doing the
Yeah.
UFC
Exactly.
fight, you know. And I love my brother, but I feel that my whole career in jiu-jitsu, it's been like that, you know. So
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your sweatshirt. I think it says Aviv. Is that correct?
Aviv, yes, that's our life here.
So is that your brand, your school name? You also mentioned a women's retreat, I believe.
Yes, we have a women's retreat. It's called the Aviv Experience. So Aviv, it started in 2018 of a dream of me and Lou. We dream about opening a space, a safe space for women in the sport. And the name came up after we started thinking about what life means to us, what jiu-jitsu means to us. And it means growth in Hebrew. So the stage of Aviv is the spring, the stage of blooming is a stage of growth. So that's how we came up with the name. And we opened a women's retreat. We hosted the first one in 2022. And
Yeah.
this is our life. This is what we work for every day.
Yeah, that's
24
beautiful.
hours.
I've seen that brand. I didn't realize. I thought you were wearing somebody else's brand because I've seen that around on shirts in Dallas.
Aviv Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I've seen
really?
that. Yeah.
We're
I
gonna
don't-
send
That's
a
our-
picture for you
Yes,
guys.
we'll send a hoodie and a shirt.
For sure.
Oh.
We'll definitely wear them on
Wow.
the podcast for sure.
So why
Yes.
Hebrew? Why the letters in Hebrew? Are those Hebrew letters or are they just
No, it's
No.
not Hebrew letters.
okay?
I don't know. I was just looking, for names, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna put growth jiu-jitsu, And I was doing a research and I saw it Aviv. I was like, that would be a beautiful name. And a friend helped us with the logo, Both of our logos, it was a gift from different people, and yeah, that's how we came up with the name. I'm not Hebrew. Luanna is not Hebrew, but
Well, I
I just
wondered.
thought it was a beautiful meaning,
Yeah.
you know.
It is beautiful.
I wanted to just ask one question before we move too far away, Luana, and this is for both of you. But you had mentioned this early, talking about how MMA didn't quite fit for you, and you made a contrast between what could be called the individualism of MMA. It's kind of you're isolated, you're solo. And then you were talking about the family of BJJ, the family aspect there. As a coach, both of you, as a coach running a school, how important is it to have the right kind of community around what you're doing? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
everything.
I feel that is everything, And actually, when we decided to open the school, the most important point was that we want to build something different, We want a community that you are going to feel safe as a woman, as a LGBT, or as a little guy, skinny guy, that
It doesn't have
is
a
not that
place.
macho, and don't have all this testosterone, so I feel that it's really important because you need to be able to be who you are in order to get your potential, the full potential, So if you are always pretend to be something else, or if you are afraid that someone is not gonna prove who you are or the way that you are, the way that you move, the way that you talk, you are gonna always be holding back. And if you hold back, how you're gonna be able to get your full potential, So we were talking about this another day at the school, that in a lot of places, because there's a lot of ego in jiu-jitsu, not just in jiu-jitsu, né?
But
it's
jiu-jitsu brings a lot because it's a fight, so you don't want to lose.
you can
know?
see a lot of ego, and if the person that is training with you doesn't know how to deal with this, you can get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to get hurt because of your ego, because you don't want to give up, or because you want to prove yourself on top of someone else. So you need to be in a place that I know that I can be myself, and I can give my best, and the person that is fighting with me, the person that is the same room than me, she will allow me to be who I am. So yes, I think it's everything. And I think you need to find your family. Once you start doing jiu-jitsu, you need to find your family. For a lot of people, jiu-jitsu is not the right fit. Aviv is not the right fit. They will prefer a place that they will compete more against each other.
And it's okay.
And it's
You just-
okay, but our place, we wanna people that wanna grow together, people that has an open mind and people that will respect each other.
Yeah, even though jiu-jitsu is an individual sport, you need to work as a team. I could not get any better doing drills in a dummy.
Right.
So I need my teammates, and it's an exchange of energy. It's trusting. Every time I'm training with someone, I'm putting my body in that position. So will my partner go really hard to break my arm? Will my partner go and do a technique really fast and I'm not gonna have the chance to tap? So it's really important to trust. We try to bring this to our students. We always talk about the importance of being conscious about the movement that you're doing, that you could actually break someone's arm, you could actually break someone's knee. There's a lot of bad injuries in jiu-jitsu. We've seen a lot, I think, because of the way people have been training nowadays. Maybe because the shows nowadays, no gi allows it, so a lot of slams. We've heard a lot of stories here in South Florida and in other places in California that people have bad injuries, like getting paralyzed, not walking because of silly moves. So we know the responsibility that we have as professors, and we want to take care of our students. And if you just feel that's not the right place for you, you don't want to train like that, you want to throw each other's on the wall, go off the mat, rolling on the ground, this is not the place for you.
Yeah.
No, even me being an active athlete nowadays, I never had I never felt that I needed to train like that to win championships. But this is about, a lifestyle, or the way that I think, the way I'm glad we have the same mindset about this, and we try to bring this to our community.
You were
We
saying,
want our females. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no. So we want our female students to feel comfortable going with a male student. So we try to educate them. Look, don't overuse your strength. If you want to put yourself in situations so this white belt can work on her techniques, because we heard a lot of stories. We have a black belt that when she was a white belt, she got her arm broken by a male brown belt. She's almost 50 years old. When I heard this, I was in shock.
Man.
How come a male brown belt can get a 40 years old, it could
White
be
belt.
20 years old white belt, and break the arm? And I always tell her that I'm very proud of her, that she kept on her journey until she gets her black belt. But this is something that could traumatize, and I don't like that. I think jiu-jitsu is a beautiful sport, and we need to build a good community, build trust, and always have a good energy.
I was thinking about training. You were saying that part of the, critical to the training is the grappling with somebody else. What other kinds of things do you do to condition to be an athlete in jiu-jitsu?
So I do the conditioning training. Luanna, she's my
I'm the
conditioning
coach as well.
She prepares me. So I do conditioning training when I'm in camp, basically 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and sometimes some circuits on the mat. And the way she handles the class, not just the roles, but we do a lot of the drills, so the techniques.
Technical part.
We do a lot of techniques, we do a lot of speed drills, a lot of situationals, and yeah, the way I eat, the way I sleep, Even though it's hard, I try my best in my reality nowadays that I'm not a full-time athlete. I have one morning session, so I have the conditioning training. Then we go to the school. I do Luana's class, and then we do the competition training. So usually it's like a 4 hours session. Depending on the day, she's trying to kill us. It could take a little longer. And then I use the rest of the day to meal prep and get ready for the classes. To now we have someone working in the front desk, but I used to work in the front desk. Luana teaching the classes to help me because it's tough to when I'm in camp getting ready. I get very exhausted, and we work as a team in this too. She tries to give me the morning so I can focus on me as an athlete, but then in the afternoon and night I have all my obligations as coach and business owner.
Wow. Well, ladies, it's been an extreme honor to have you and to hear the stories of you both. 10 world championships between both of you. The one last thing we want to ask you is tell us a misfit, maybe in your past, present, alive, not with us anymore, that gives you inspiration in life.
I will say my partner here, Luana. She was an inspiration for me since before I started jiu-jitsu, and the more I get to know her, I just admire her so much. And for me, she's one of the most kindest person and gentle and hard workers that I know, and I really admire her. Lu, my partner.
That's great.
We actually, since the beginning, since when we decided to open a school and be together, I remember a post that we did in the Instagram page, in the V page saying, we will change the game, and then we did put petition for equal pay, we did everything to actually change the game in the sport, because it's a really male dominant, jiu-jitsu. It's hard for women,
Mm-hmm.
Even with this petition, a lot of people, they went against the petition. They did videos saying that no, women should not receive the same amount as the guys. And like, we are in 2025, this was 2022,
2021, yes.
2021, 2022, like, and people are still saying that we should not receive the same amount. So I feel that both of us, we are always fighting, since when I was a little kid in the playground fighting against the guys.
That's right.
And then as an athlete, and now fighting as well, fighting for our rights, fighting for people to see us, and to give our space. And that's also why it was so important, the documentary for us that we are filming with Adam, because we are able to talk about and to show our beliefs, our history, what do we actually do to change all the scenario, to change this game, and I'm super proud of Carol, super proud of the woman that she is, and all the fights that she has. And, it's not easy to be fighting against federations, to be fighting against the big masters, be fighting up against the whole community. But that's what we do, we fight for our rights, and we fight for we get what is ours, like our space.
Yeah. Well, you all keep up the good fight, and it's been an honor to meet you and have you on the Misfit Social Podcast. And love to get one of those sweatshirts.
Yeah, now.
Okay, we're gonna send it to you.
We will.
All right. You ladies have a great rest of your afternoon, and maybe I'll meet you on the mat sometime, and you can show me some moves.
Come visit. Come
All of you
visit.
guys,
All
or
of
we
you.
go to Texas.
Make him tap
Texas,
out.
no, California.
Yeah, I
Make
want
him
a picture.
tap. Make him tap.
I want a picture of him in a spaghetti pretzel kind of a position, tapping out. That's what I want.
Yes, I want the video.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
All right, we'll see you
Thank
all.
you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
That's a wrap. Misfit Social Podcast. Let's go.